In today's lesson, we're going to learn about the second conditional with some help from movie scenes. Keep watching. Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Alex. In the lesson today, we're going to look at the second conditional, and we're going to look at 4 different scenes from movies and TV programs to help us do it. So let's dive straight in and look at the first one.
No thanks to me? Those weapons were out there and I tried to tell you about it, but you didn't listen. None of this would have happened if you had just listened to me. If you even cared, you'd actually be here.
The example we have of the second conditional in this scene is, if you even cared, you'd actually be here. So this is a good classic example of the second conditional. We use this to talk about hypothetical or imaginary present or future situations and the consequences of them. If we look at the structure here, we have if plus past simple, then we have would. We have contracted would into apostrophe D here. So in this scene, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, assumes that Tony Stark isn't there, that it's just some kind of robot. So that's why he thinks this is a hypothetical situation and he uses the second conditional. It's a hypothetical, imaginary situation. He doesn't think Tony Stark is there, but as we find out, he actually is. Let's look at another example of the second conditional, this time from The Big Bang Theory.
I'm sorry for every mean thing I ever did or said to you. I'm sorry too, it's all my fault. If you weren't my friend, there'd be a hole in my life. Thank you, Sheldon. Kind of like when Firefly was canceled. But not as big.
The example in this clip is, if you weren't my friend, I'd have a hole in my life. So we can see it's exactly the same structure as we had last time. If plus past simple, and then would plus infinitive in the second part of the conditional, in the second clause. So here, he is imagining that if Howard wasn't his friend, but in actual fact, he is. And that's why it's an imaginary situation, a hypothetical situation, and that's why we use the second conditional in this case. Let's look at another example that's a little bit different.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Here we have a scene from classic film, Blazing Saddles. Please watch it if you haven't. And he says, I wouldn't do that if I were you. So first of all, we can see the structure is actually the same, but we've got the clauses the other way around. And the interesting thing here is if we start with the would clause, then that means that we don't need a comma in the middle, in between the two clauses. So it's just, I wouldn't do that if I were you, no comma. So this isn't really a hypothetical situation, but it's more he's giving advice, or maybe in this case, actually he's making a threat. He's saying, don't do that. There will be bad consequences if you try to do that. Also, he says, if I were you. So normally we wouldn't use was in this case, especially when we're giving advice, like in this case. So we would say, if I were you, not if I was you, normally. Let's have a look at another example that's slightly different than the standard second conditional structure, and this time it's from the film Inception.
Come back to reality, Tom. Please.
Reality. Those kids, your grandchildren, they're waiting for their father to come back home. That's their reality. And this job, this last job, that's how I get there. I would not be standing here if I knew any other way.
So here, Leonardo DiCaprio says, I wouldn't be standing here if I knew any other way. So like the last example, we can see we've got the would clause first. So again, no comma, but you might notice that he said, I wouldn't be standing here. So we've got a continuous structure after would. We need the verb be and then ing for the verb after that. And that's to emphasize that we're talking about now. And we can do that with the second conditional as well. I wouldn't be standing here now if I knew any other way. Have you heard any other examples of the second conditional in movies or TV programs? Let me know in the comments. If you feel like you got some benefit from this lesson, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me in social media and feel free to join my Facebook group, Learn English with Alex. Happy learning and see you next time.